So in today's video, I'm sharing how to prove sobriety and rebuild trust in alcohol addiction without having to police or control your alcoholic's behavior. But if you're new, my name is Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist and I love helping people create relationships that work. So when you love an alcoholic, you've probably tried everything you know to get them sober. You've tried making their life easier. You've tried making excuses for them or paying for therapy or treatment, maybe several times, and nothing's worked. Because in their addiction, they will avoid taking responsibility for their actions. They will lie to you, they will gaslight you and make you feel crazy. They'll blame you, making you feel bad for their drinking. They'll even tell you that you caused their drinking. Or they'll pick a fight purposely to leave the house. Or they'll ruin family events because they've been drinking. And they don't do these behaviors because they're bad people. People who drink too much do these behaviors because their brain gets hijacked by the alcohol, and as a result, their decision-making becomes impaired. They're not the person you know them to be anymore because their whole life revolves around getting the substance so that they can maintain and function in their life. So in order to maintain their drinking, their behavior becomes increasingly erratic and dysfunctional, which ends up destroying all trust in the relationship. They do unimaginable things to themselves and to you because they don't know another way. Now, if you've ever loved an alcoholic, say yes in the comments because this video is going to help. So what happens when the alcoholic finally gets sober? You might breathe a sigh of relief and say, okay, now life is going to go back to normal, or now I don't have to worry about them anymore. But then you soon realize that now, instead of worrying about their using, you're worrying about their sobriety. You're worrying that they're going to relapse. They're going to use again. And this often prompts you to start doing controlling behaviors. You might find that you're checking their social media accounts or checking their phone or trying to prevent them from spending time with certain people or going to certain places with alcohol. You might try to control where they go, who they spend time with because you're afraid. So how do you rebuild trust in alcohol addiction? There's only one way to rebuild trust, and that's total transparency. That means the alcoholic is now an open book. There's no secrets, and there has to be a pretty significant willingness to do that. So if your loved one is really serious about their sobriety, they will do whatever it takes to regain your trust. That's how you know they're really serious about their recovery. But here's the problem. How do you rebuild trust in a healthy way without resorting to trying to control or monitor their behavior? This is where most families get stuck because at this point, you've probably been through so much that you need proof that they're sober. You don't have a reason to trust them yet, and often trust takes years to build because actions speak louder than words. Saying you're going to be sober is different than actually doing the work of recovery, and that's what you need to see in order for trust to be rebuilt. But if you don't know how to do that in a healthy way, you're going to resort to trying to control their behavior. And that's only going to further damage the relationship you have with your loved one because they're going to get defensive, feel like a failure, and maybe use it as an excuse to drink. And I don't want that for you. What I want for you is to find a neutral way to rebuild trust that will empower the alcoholic to keep their recovery because we don't want you to have to check on them every 5 minutes. That's no way to live. So the only way the alcoholic can truly rebuild the trust is to do it independently of you. They have to show with their actions and their words that they're serious about their recovery. Now the problem is that because you've been through so much, you don't really have the patience to wait too long. And let's face it, building trust in and of itself takes years. You have to see if they're willing to go to meetings, if they're willing to call their sponsor, if they're willing to do what it takes to stay on the path of recovery. And that doesn't happen quickly. That takes years, especially if there's been a history of relapse. But there's a quicker way to rebuild trust, and I found a tool to do that. It's called SoberLink. And it's a high-tech breathalyzer with facial recognition, so there's no cheating. And it also sends a report directly to family members to prove sobriety. So you don't have to police your behavior. All the recovering person has to do is be willing to be tested. And let's face it, there is a commitment to that. For them to commit to doing daily tests shows that they're willing to do whatever it takes. It's a way to help you rebuild trust faster on a daily basis because let's face it, recovery is one day at a time. And it's also a way to give family proof that their sobriety is working. I think SoberLink can give you that peace of mind. And it also helps the alcoholic do something independently to show that they're taking responsibility for their addiction and their sobriety. So in my practice, I often recommend extra tools. And so when I came across SoberLink, I really wanted to recommend it. And I will promise you that I will never recommend something I don't believe in. And I think rebuilding trust in families with addiction is tricky because you need a lot of time and patience in order to see the alcoholic's behavior changing. And SoberLink is just a quicker, faster way that you can be reassured because it helps the alcoholic be totally transparent. Now again, you can do this on your own with time. Trust is not rebuilt in a day or a week or even a month. You need to be able to go through the process and watch the alcoholic's behavior. You can't influence or control or cajole the alcoholic's behavior into recovery. You have to be willing to sit back and watch and see if they're willing to do the hard work. Now, your part in recovery is to start looking at your own codependency and your own enabling behaviors that have probably contributed to the addiction. So the alcoholic's willingness to use this device is going to be a faster way to restore trust in the relationship without you having to control their behavior. Because part of your next steps in recovery is to start addressing issues of codependency. Issues where you have enabled them to continue using, or you have not taken good care of yourself in the relationship, and as a result, you're wiped out and you're having your own difficulties in life. So go watch my video on codependency recovery because that's your next step. Thanks so much.